Joining us now is the founder of AtlasShrugs.com, president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative and Stop Islamization of America, Pam Geller. Hey, Pam, how are you? Welcome back.
Hey, handsome, how are you?
Good to talk to you again.
Great talking to you.
All right, so the people who are running this on their website talk about the fact that there's been Muslims have been made into villains. They want their civil rights. The government isn't doing enough to protect Muslims, and things get worse and worse in this country for them. And we've all been fed a bunch of lies, I guess, about 9/11, and they want the record to be set straight. I mean, this is a direct slap in the face that they're holding this on 9/11.
Yeah, because 9/11, of course, as you know, is a national day of grieving for the largest attack on American soil. It's when Jihad came to America. This is another in a long series of post-9/11 attempts by Muslim groups to portray themselves as victims and deflect attention away from the reality that the 9/11 hijackers and so many other jihadis were incited to violence by Islamic teaching. This is what I would consider to be a victory victimhood march. And this is part of a larger effort by Muslim groups to end all post-9/11 counterterrorism efforts. You know that Obama has already scrubbed all mention of Islam and jihad from counterterror training for the FBI and other agencies. And now Muslim groups linked with the Muslim Brotherhood are working toward absolute victory to get law enforcement to stop counterterrorism activities among Muslims, tarring them, quote, as racist or as profiling or as Islamophobic. We are disarming the American people. We are disarming law enforcement. One only has to watch the proceedings in Killeen, Texas, of the Fort Hood jihadi. Just today, the judge ruled that motive and most of the evidence would be inadmissible. Since when, in any prosecutorial trial, was motive irrelevant, particularly in a military tribunal where the enemy combatant, or Major Hassan, has declared that this is war and he was waging jihad?
Yeah, and they wanted to bring up a previous such attack back in 2003 and prove that this was kind of a copycat. They wanted to submit emails for Anwar al-Awlaki that were sent both ways between Nidal Hassan and Awlaki, and the judge said no. I mean, this attempt to scrub this into being a case of workplace violence is now extended into the military tribunal, apparently.
Exactly, and talk about copycats. But if you recall, there was a copycat jihadist, Nasir Abdo, who was apprehended before he waged his jihad, saying that Major Nidal Hassan in Fort Hood had inspired him. He was a devout Muslim waging jihad in the cause of Islam. But anyone that talks about this, you or I or anyone, is a racist, Islamophobic, anti-Muslim bigot, and that, too, is part of the war. There's a war going on, of course, the bombs, the bloodshed, the bullets, but there's also a war going on, Steve, in the information battle space. And people like myself and my brilliant colleagues like Robert Spencer, Ibn Warq, Wafa Sultan, Ayan Hirsi have been, in effect, blacklisted. So first, let me tip my hat to you for even having me on, because believe it or not, it's an act of courage. And secondly, by relegating these voices, these brilliant voices, I'm not calling myself brilliant. I was referring to
I'll call you brilliant.
No, that's okay, but I was really referring to my colleagues. By relegating them to the very fringes of society, what you're doing is you are relegating the message, you're demonizing the message, you're killing the messenger. And America, frankly, at this moment, with Obama as the president and, of course, pursuing a pro-jihadist policy, whether it's in Egypt or whether it's in Libya or whether it's in Israel, renders us, honestly, in a free fall. No, as global jihadists, really are emboldened. They're emboldened in their march towards, global supremacy, and it's quite shocking. Look, how many was it now? I think today I listed 36 or 38 churches that have been, is it 50 now? The churches that have been
in Egypt, and the churches and homes and businesses that were marked with paint before they were destroyed.
Red paint.
Yep, very reminiscent, and it's horrific. It's outrageous, and I haven't heard boo from this administration or this State Department.
How about the media? The media that's all up in arms about some bogus drummed up, racist incident like Trayvon Martin. I mean, these are people that are being slaughtered. This is creed apartheid. This is racist apartheid. This is gender apartheid. This is the other apartheid. Where this is when I say the enemy media, I believe that the media has become the enemy. They are an activist organization. They're no longer a passive organization. They're an activist organization dedicated to an anti-American, anti-freedom agenda. And that's why what you're doing is so crucial, Steve.
And Pam, we got 1 minute left or so, but the first thing that came to mind when I saw this call for this million-man march or million Muslim march was the 9/11 mosque. I mean, just more in your face. That's the hope that they don't shy away from that.
Exactly. And this is a major psyop to intimidate Americans into thinking there is something wrong and bigoted about resisting jihad terror, about resisting what happened in Fort Hood, about resisting what happened in Boston. It's like, imagine if Japanese groups marching on December 7th, and they wouldn't dare, of course, because they were embarrassed by Pearl Harbor. They don't want to be identified with it. But this Muslim group behind this made the choice to march on September 11th because they disavow any Muslim connection to the terror attacks on that day, and they're trying to compel Americans to accept the idea that Islam had nothing to do with 9/11, despite the abundance of evidence.
Oh, yeah.
That it did.
Come on. Absolutely. Pam, thank you for coming on, and check Pam out at atlasshrugs.com, President of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, AFDI, and Stop Islamization of America. Great to talk to you, my dear. Take care.